letting him get to know you. Now this can be the most intimate and sometimes even the most difficult for some people, but expose yourself. Expose yourself to God. Begin to talk to him and spend time with him. How? You may say, well, that could be boring, or what am I going to say, or I can't hear him talking, or you may be able to say, all kinds of things that to you may be a reason that you shouldn't try to spend time with him. But begin to talk to him and spend time with him. Set aside 15 minutes a day. Okay, just start there. Set aside 15 minutes a day, whether it's morning, whether it's in the afternoon, during your lunch, doesn't matter. Just set aside a time and begin to talk to him. Although he already knows everything, you may say, well, he knows everything. What am I going to tell him that he doesn't know? Or maybe there's some things that you are ashamed to tell him. But again, remember, he knows everything. He created you. He is everywhere. His eyes are everywhere. He sees everything. He knows everything. So you don't have to be afraid to bear all with him. You don't have to worry about him telling anybody. You don't have to worry about him condemning you or making you feel bad about what you've done. You don't have to worry about him coming down on you. He will be there. He will listen. He will love you. He will embrace you. And while you may not see him, you will experience his love and his embrace when you begin to open your heart up to him and to expose yourself and just talk to him. It's not even always just an expose of the things that are in my heart. Sometimes it's just, hey, God, I had a good day. Just like anybody else. If you're in relationship with somebody and you, let's say you're married and you come home from a long day of work, one of the first things most people ask is, how was your day? How did it go today? Or how are you feeling today? And you can talk to God just like you would talk to your best friend, and just like you can talk to your husband or to your wife, and just tell him, my day today, my boss got on my nerve. Or today was a really good day. Everything just, nothing spectacular happened. I just felt good and I felt joyful. Begin to just talk to him like he is your friend. You're practicing a relationship. These are relational skills that you can practice with God and not just people. And trust me, the benefit will be so great, and it will even overflow into your relationship with people. So again, these are practical application things that you can do. So the application of this, talking to him and spending time, set aside the 15 minutes a day. Tell him how your day was. Tell him what your fears are. Tell him what made you sad today or who upset you. Tell him who made you feel rejected and that you want, for him to heal your heart. It doesn't even always have to be what happened today. It doesn't have to be what happened today, but just what's going on in your heart. What's going on in your mind? When my pastor used to always say, you can find out what's going on in your mind just by being quiet. And just be quiet, and the thoughts of your heart will come to your mind, and you'll know what is really abundantly in your heart. And if there are people or issues or concerns, whether they're with yourself or whether they're with the people that you interact with or people you're in relationship with, you can talk to him about that and everything. Just pour your heart out to him, and I'm telling you, you'll begin to feel whole and you'll begin to feel healed. And sometimes you may cry when you're talking to him because you get emotional about really bearing your heart and getting down to the root of some of the things in your heart. But just remember, you're talking to the person that could be the best friend to you in the entire world, the person that can not only be a listening ear and a shoulder to cry on, but somebody who actually has answers and somebody who actually can minister healing to your heart. I used to say that there were times that in these same kind of interactions that I would have with God, that there would be something that's going on with me, and I would come home and I would just kind of lay on my face before God in prayer, and I would just begin to pour my heart out to him. And say, I don't like the way this is happening, or this is breaking my heart, and what am I doing wrong, or should I be doing something differently, or can I make a different decision about this, or can I do this, and just really begin to pour my heart out. And sometimes after that, I'll just spend some time quiet. After I do that, once you start pouring your heart out, a lot of times you may cry. I would cry sometimes and then just be quiet after that for a few minutes. And the only way I could express it is that I used to say, I hate to use the word magic in relation with God because I feel like it's so beneath him. He's so much bigger and greater than what we consider magic to be. But it's very miraculous how I know I can't take my physical hand and place it into my heart and bring any kind of healing. I can't do that and touch my heart and make it stop hurting. I can't take a physical hand and remove the emotion and remove the negative effects that people have on you from whatever it is that you go through in relationships and in your life. I can't do that with my physical hand, but some way I can lay down in the presence of God and pour my heart out. And by the time I leave, I feel like he supernaturally put his hand into my heart and just brought healing, wholeness, and restoration. And just, it almost brings me to tears now because I can think of so many times that he has done that for me and he has ministered healing into my heart because I gave him an opportunity to do that in personal interaction with him, just taking some time to talk to him. And again, you don't have to start with anything huge. Just do what you can now. Again, I said on another video, don't let anybody judge you about the time that you do it. You may say, well, I don't have a lot of time. Well, spend 5, 10, 15 minutes. Find the time where you can. Even if you need to break it up and do 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes, it doesn't matter. Start somewhere and just begin to talk to him. You can even do it, on your breaks. You'll have a 15-minute break during the day and just say, God, this is what's going on in my heart. This is what's going on in my mind. What in the world is happening in the world? What's happening in this relationship? What is happening with my job? Why is this person acting like this? Why are the church people acting like this? Talk to him. And I'm saying it a lot, but really I want to really convey the importance of it because you will begin to see the benefits sooner than later. Trust me, you'll begin to see the benefits sooner than later. And the more you talk to him again about all that's in your heart, including what's wrong and what you do that's wrong, you will begin to even feel more free from the negative things that other people have done, and even from things that you have done that you know are wrong and that you are condemning yourself in your heart. And that's not what he wants from us. There's a scripture that says, if our hearts condemn us, know that God is greater than your heart. His love is so much greater for us than even condemnation can be in our own hearts. But sometimes it takes us spending the time to talk to him and pour our hearts out before him and allow him to minister healing to us and in our hearts. So this is all a part of building that relationship. And as you begin to be more vulnerable, there's this statement I've been saying for years, and I say your level of vulnerability is your level of fulfillment. So if you begin to be vulnerable with him in these times about the things that are affecting you from external sources and the things from your own heart that are bothering you and making you kind of stealing your peace, when you open your heart up and become vulnerable to him, you can expect that same level of fulfillment. Because I read one time someone was talking about giving, and if you close your hand tightly so that you won't give anything, you can't get anything in that hand either. So you have to open your hand and release. And then while it's open, it will be able to receive something. The same way with our hearts. You can open your heart, begin to pour it out to God and talk to him about everything. Let him truly be a friend and talk to him about everything. And while your heart is open, there's that opportunity. You're literally wide open for an exchange and for him to pour back into you. And during those interactions, you begin to love him at a different level. You become intimate with him because you've become more personal with him. There are friends, if you think about it, there are friends that you have that you are closer with and you're tighter with only because you've opened your heart up more to them. Think about a couple of people that you're closest to and really feel intimate with. and know them, and you can call them and talk to them about anything, it's because you've opened yourself and allowed for an exchange and a connection to be made where that intimacy is built. And it's no different with God. You build it, it's just better. Quite frankly, it's just better with God because he's perfect. He's perfect. Now, of course, we have to have relationship with people too. I mean, it's a wonderful thing, that relationship thing. But the one with God is that he can just bring healing and restoration in in the relationship with him. So just remember this. There are a couple of things I wanted to say about you opening your heart to him. You may cry again, but he won't tell anybody. He's not going to tell anybody your deepest, darkest secrets, whatever you've done that you wish you hadn't done in your past. He's not going to tell anybody. He's just going to deal with you because you're dealing with him. He's a true friend. Now, and also realize that God is not intimidated by us. He is not intimidated by our thoughts. Even if they are wrong, he's not intimidated by the sins that we have committed. He is not intimidated by us being angry with him. There's nothing we can do that can intimidate God. He created us and the world around us. He cannot be intimidated by us, okay? So you can feel free to just talk to him about everything. Feel free to share with him and pour your heart out to him. And this will build intimacy with God. This will build intimacy with God. And the last thing that I'm going to say is the intimacy, it establishes, it will begin to establish you as a worshiper. And essentially, a worshiper really is someone who understands who God is because he has been that to them. So you may understand that God is a healer. You may believe that God is a healer on one side, but it's a totally different thing when you understand him as a healer because he healed you. So in that thing, to you, he is healer. And when you say he is healer because you know he's healer, that's worship. When you come to him because you know who he is and you submit yourself to him, that's worship. When you begin to know him as you become vulnerable with him and he brings healing to your heart and restoration, you know him as a restorer now. And you can say, God, you are my restorer. You are my healer. You're the lover of my soul. You've touched me where I've been hurt and you've healed me and you're my savior. You know, then when you begin to understand that from experience, you can really flow from that worship, true worship, because you understand him to be that because you gave him an opportunity to be that. So just remember that. And when you do become a worshiper and begin to worship him because of who he is, that is the greatest level of intimacy with God. As you do that and you spend time with him, getting to know him, and then you start to worship him, when you begin to worship him, he will begin to do things that have been in your heart that you wanted to have done and you wanted to get done and that you may have even prayed about before, but you haven't really prayed about it since you started becoming intimate with him. Those things will just start becoming fixed. And you'll see, I guarantee you, you will see that in your life and you'll say, oh my God, he fixed that. And a lot of times you'll see it as soon as you start this. You'll start seeing certain things get better or certain things change that you didn't even pray about in that 15-minute time slot. Because when you begin to open your heart and worship him after that whole intimacy thing and you begin to know him and flow and let that heart flow with the worship, it'll just kind of show up as, he'll just start to do things while you're laying in his face, praising him and worshiping him and talking to him and spending time with him as an intimate friend of his. He'll be dealing with other stuff. While he's here with you, he's sending his fire to deal with the other stuff and get it fixed for you. So there, you can't lose. You cannot lose learning to become a person that is intimate with God and in relationship with God. He wants it for us. And now you have practical things that you can do today and every day moving forward that can help you to establish a personal and very intimate relationship with God. So that's what I wanted to talk about today. I really pray that you really go on and do this. And please let me know if this stuff is impacting you. Let me know if it's helpful. Let me know even if you want to hear about some other things, some other questions you may have. But that's all for today.